Okay.
There we go.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, sorry guys. Our technician's not here to check that out. I'm going to have to put a Bluetooth bud into my ear while we do this. That'd be confusing. You'd be talking there and then talking into my ear.
Oh, it says we got an unstable connection. Maybe that's why we're
No.
we're unstable. We're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Can you hear us now?
Yep. Let's get some feedback here.
Yeah. That I'm just typing that in here so that I can go here and maybe put our sound up for a bit.
There we go. It says
Oh, good.
okay.
I'll
We're
put
good.
the sound back down.
All right. Well, since we might as well start again. So today's topic is mistakes new writers commonly make.
Of which Paul's made some, and we're curious to know if any have made those before.
And once again, we'll be answering questions.
Yes.
Well,
now apparently YouTube couldn't, but I'm sure they can hear us now. So we're good. I know that, sorry, YouTube can hear us now. I think TikTok will be there in a minute.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of a lag time before they get stuff here.
So just to repeat, you said our topic tonight is mistakes that writers commonly make.
That new writers.
That new writers commonly make.
Yes. Now, some of these you can take to extremes. We're really just covering off some basic concepts.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with one of the big things that new writers do is sometimes they decide to write a trilogy. So instead of just writing a book, they plan too big, basically.
Yeah. And it's funny because we in the beginning I said Paul made some of these mistakes, and although you wrote your first book, you knew writing it that you wanted it to be a whole series. But there was some advice that you read online, and what was that advice that you found very helpful?
The advice I read, someone said, write your first book and then put it away and forget about it, and then write the book that you want to actually publish.
Yes.
I didn't quite do that. What I did was I put aside my first book, wrote the second book in the series, and then I had learned so much from writing both of them, I went back to the first book and made a whole bunch of changes.
Yes.
And ended up being the better for it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, and of course, I broke the rule here because it's a 15-book series now.
Yes.
So I wouldn't suggest that. It's not saying that you can't, but it's a lot of extra work if you're making it into a series. You know, when I wrote the first book, I didn't know if anyone was going to buy the first book, let alone others. So it was very, very useful in terms of doing that.
Now, why do you think we're telling people to write just one book instead of planning out a whole series?
I think part of the problem is the complexity involved. Now, in my own defense, I already had a world created that I'd been running in role-playing games, so I had that advantage. But when you're writing a series, it's a lot more work because you have to consider
world building,
but also the plot for not only a single book, but then the series of books as a whole.
Yes.
So you want each book to, well, I suppose you don't, I guess that each book doesn't have to be complete, but it feels if it's unfinished, if you don't resolve something in the first book, it can feel a little.
Well, and it's interesting because now that you've written your 3 complete series, you've decided to do a cozy fantasy. And one of the reasons you wanted to do the cozy fantasy was so that people could pick up books out of order and still be able to follow along. And are you still going to do that with your cozy fantasy?
Yes. So there are a couple of references to previous books, but you don't really need to know them. You can jump in with any book. Obviously, the first book is a little different because it introduces the characters to each other. Yeah. But then the basic concept of my cozy fantasy is each book is like a standalone. I don't want to say sitcom. A standalone episode.
Yeah.
So you don't have to link them all together.
No.
But you could get maybe a little bit more out of it if you read them in order, I suppose, would be a way of looking at it.
Yeah, I agree, Seb. It is very, very interesting. Again, we're talking about mistakes that new writers make and some of them that Paul made as well. Yeah. So we're curious, any writers listening in, are you in your first book writing just a book or a whole series?
Or you're just a reader. Maybe you're just a reader.
Yeah.
And maybe as a reader, you've read books that sometimes fall into some of these traps, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Seb has said that they'd like to read one of your books. Well, Seb, if you want to read one of your books, you can go to pauljbennettauthor.com and you can start any of his books for free.
As long as you don't mind the ebook format.
Yeah, we don't give away paperbacks. I'll put in the website here.
So it's pauljbennettauthor.com.
And then you can start any of his series for free. Now, Paul, let them know what genres you write in.
So I have 3 main stories. I have The Heir to the Crown, which is epic fantasy. There is The Frozen Flame, which is sword and sorcery. And then there is Power Ascending, which is what we call military fantasy. It deals more with the knights and fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, in addition, in ebook only, we have the Chronicles of Cyric, which are sort of a fantasy medieval whodunit kind of mystery type of stuff there. So but you can find out more about the series by going to pauljbennettauthor.com.
And we put the link right there for you. Now, another common mistake is waiting for inspiration before you write. Now, when people write on a schedule instead of waiting for inspiration, Paul, you used to write on a schedule instead of waiting for inspiration. So when you worked full time, at a different job.
Yes, a different job. I was a IT instructor.
Scheduled time.
I did.
Yeah.
And part of that is, I think, if you want to be successful as a writer, it helps to have a discipline, or like a particular time that you like to write, for example. I started out, I was working during the day, so I would write in the evenings or on weekends.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. So you need, I think, a certain routine. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to write every day. You've got to find a time that works for you, right? Especially when you're starting out. I mean, now I'm writing full time, so it's like a...
So if it's a mistake to wait for waiting for inspiration, what do we suggest that writers should do?
Right.
You always say that. You always say Paul's advice is always to write.
Yes. So the basic concept, and I've said this before, and I'll probably keep saying it again. You can't get better at something if you don't do it.
Yes.
And even if you're writing something unrelated to your book, the fact that you're writing helps.
Yes.
Right? It helps you express yourself.
Yes.
And even if you throw it out later, those are words that you've typed or written or however you put your document together. And it all helps you get better.
Yeah, and it also sets you into a routine. Now, interesting, the writing Yin says with such an expansive universe, I feel that some of the stories of theirs may need to expand into trilogies or more depending on the plot line. So it's interesting because we started talking about one of the mistakes is to do a series right off the bat. And a lot of people say, I want to do an 8-book series, and then they do book 1, like there's not enough for 8 books. But if you write an outline, you can determine if you have enough for a series. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I think now, once again, not everyone likes outlinings, but I think in this case, you almost, for that kind of an epic story over so many books, whether it's 3 books or 8 books or whatever, I think you need some kind of outline. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but you have to know where you're going, especially when you're looking at a series of books.
So we have a couple other questions. We'll talk about our, go back to inspiration for a minute, but I do have a couple questions here I don't want to miss. Seb wants to know, how long would it take to read one of your books? You have an interesting story about that.
To read or to write, you mean?
They're a reader.
Okay.
So we're going to go with
how long would one of your books take to finish it? So if you're looking at reading, it's really just how fast you read. My series are different lengths. So the Heir to the Crown series come in at around 120 words.
Yeah.
We always work in words.
1,000
words, yeah.
120 words.
That would be a very short story.
The dog jumped over the moon and howled.
Yeah. 120,000 words for Heir to the Crown. Power Ascending is the longest series per book. I don't mean the series itself. And that is 140,000.
Yes.
And then the shorter series is
A new series.
Well, okay, Frozen Flame
Yes.
is about 100,000.
But your new series.
The new series
Yes.
is 70,000. That's a cozy fantasy, but you won't probably see that for a while. And then the Cyric stories range from actually quite short to about 50,000.
No, 25 to 30.
25 to 30.
Yeah, 1,000.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the origin story is very short.
Now, Stovetop would like to know how you get through writer's block, Paul.
I don't know that I really get writer's block. I have so much stuff in the works that if I'm getting writer's block on my current work, I've already got an outline, so I know where the story is going. Yeah. But also I have other outlines for other stories, or I'll just open up a new document and just think about like what's a new story I could write, and then I've got reams and reams of notes that I'm just like I say reams, they're not. All right. They're on a computer file.
So if you don't have writer's block, what could we suggest for Stovetop to combat writer's block? What would you do if you had writer's block?
I think,
and you do have writer's block occasionally, Stovetop. I will admit he is not remembering.
I've even had situations where I've written like 5 or 6 chapters in a book, and it's not working.
Yes.
Even though I have an outline.
Yeah.
I did that with Victory of the Crown, which is coming out next month.
No, it's coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. This month. Yes. We're already in
2 weeks today.
Yeah. I keep thinking.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Yep. Yeah. So I ended up rewriting the entire outline because I wanted to put more focus on the characters rather than just the military side of things. I mean, I've written a military fantasy series that was a lot of military stuff, but I wanted to concentrate and finish off the Heir of the Crown with more personal interaction.
Well, I'm curious, for the writers we have listening, do you write every day or only when inspiration strikes? Paul, you write Monday to Friday because you're a full-time author.
That's right.
You used to write on the weekends when you were working part-time.
Yes.
Okay.
I did. So to me, I treat it like a job. Yes. We generally, by the time we get started in the morning, it's around 10 o'clock.
Well, lately.
Yeah. And, we break for lunch and we have time to, walk the dogs and so on. Yeah. But it helps. And I'm actually most productive between 10 and 1, that 3-hour window.
It used to be 9 and 4, and it's shrinking.
Down.
Now, why is it shrinking? Are you losing interest in writing?
No, I think what happens is, like with Victory of the Crown,
it took a lot of
15 books in, plus it has links to the other series. So there was a lot more cross-referencing and checking this and checking that. So that just takes a lot more mental energy, which is another thing that you have to consider when you're looking at you brought the Balrog out.
Well, there's a question about the Balrog.
Okay.
So what's the question by Ian?
Where are we here? Do you have any other Lord of the Rings collectibles? Well, we have the Balrog, and we have.
Yeah, you can see that one.
Oh yeah, we have. That's about it, I think. Let me think. Do I have other? I got all kinds of other stuff up here.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a TARDIS up here.
That occasionally.
Yeah, way up above. I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera.
Yeah, they can. You can see it.
We've got Vault Dweller.
Yeah.
We've got Dog Meat.
Yes.
We've got a Gremlin.
Can I have one of your books? Because mine are not around. There.
And we've got a little TARDIS up there. Lots of books up there as well. What's that up there? What's that? That is that's more books.
A Star Trek figure.
A Star Trek figure. That's Scotty from the movies, I think, from the remakes.
We are going to talk next about editing again and again and again the beginning of your book. But before we do that, Chris has a question that they have writer's block. They're writing a book about mysteries of history, and what should they do to help with the writer's block? So I'm going to answer this one.
Sure.
And then you can add something in. Look up something called the snowflake method of planning out a book. It sounds like you've got writer's block because you don't know where to take the story. So if you think of the snowflake method, what it does is you start with a concept and then you build out the concept into 3 acts, and then you build those into chapters, and then you detail each chapter. So it's kind of like a session 1 of D&D.
Yeah,
That's a
I've
good way
heard
to
it
explain it.
described another way where you type a sentence
Yeah.
and then you ask yourself, what then?
What then?
What then? What then?
Yeah.
What happens next, right?
Because it's hard to write the prose when you don't know what's going to happen. For some writers, other writers, the moment they outline the story's dead, they just have to go and let their mind take over. So you may be a mix of that, Chris. Okay.
Yeah, I think it comes down to personal preference, and there is no one solution for curing writer's block.
No.
Sometimes writer's block, especially if they said they were writing historical
Mysteries of history.
mysteries of history.
Yeah.
So it's real mixed with fiction. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know whether it's like one book with a whole bunch of different mysteries, like short stories or
I
whatever.
don't know.
Maybe it's a case of organizing what order the mysteries are revealed in or something.
Yeah.
There's too many specifics there to go that we need to know to go into that.
You can put more questions in there, we'll answer them. So our third thing that we find a common mistake is editing while writing. And I can speak from personal experience with this one because we did something called NaNoWriMo a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I decided I was going to write a book. Paul had written at that time, I think 15, and I thought I'd give it a try. I had a plot, something I'd done in a role-playing game. I thought I would write a story about it. And I got into 4 pages, and that took me close to 8 hours because I kept editing while writing. And I came to the realization that I'm not the writer, I'm the editor. So you come from the other aspect of this. You don't edit at all as you write. It just pours out of you.
Yeah, I mean, I do edit a bit because sometimes I'll write a couple of sentences and then go back and take out a whole paragraph and rewrite it in a different way or change what's happening. But most of the heavy editing comes later when you get hold of the manuscript. Everyone's going to be different, but the problem is some people have the opinion that you have to like slave away with every single sentence to make sure every sentence is perfect.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're never going to complete your book.
Yeah.
It's never going to be perfect because there is no perfect.
There is no perfect.
What's perfect for one person isn't perfect for someone else.
I read Paul's books when I'm editing them 4 times. And sometimes if I pick it up to read through it because we need to know what happened in this book for the next book, I'll find things like, oh, I wish I'd changed that. Because it actually depends on your mood that day, how you read something. You can just never get it right. Now, I do have a question here. We were talking to the writing yin, and they say they write daily, even if it's just a few hundred words during break of work. Otherwise, they find time while they're winding down at night.
Now, that's a good way to do it. That's how I started.
Yeah. What did you used to do when you were at work?
So I used to, I was teaching all morning and then I'd have lunchtime and then like an hour lunch.
Yeah.
And then I'd be working all afternoon. So what I would do is I would usually eat my lunch relatively quickly. I mean, it's just like, sandwich or whatever. And then I would go for a walk and then I would record on my phone like an audio file.
Yeah.
And I would talk about plot points.
No, interesting. You recorded on your phone.
But then I don't go back to it.
Would you ever go back to it?
I didn't need to, but because in my head I kind of cement. It's funny. Sword of the Crown. I remember there's a scene in there where Richard Fitzwilliam is in the palace.
Yes.
And he's about to talk to these nobles, and he's staring out the window. That scene, I can still remember walking around work, and I was near the old hospital near where I used to work.
Yeah.
And it's all deserted and everything, or it was. I think they might have torn it down now.
Oh no.
And I remember walking. That's what gave. I looked up and there was like this big tall building. I just kind of imagined someone in the window and looking out over the kingdom, as it were. And that kind of inspired me to write that scene, or at least talk out
that scene. And then write it later.
Yeah, and then when I sat down that evening or whenever it was to actually write the scene, I already knew what was going to happen.
Oh. What advice would you give to writers who are stuck revising instead of moving forward?
I think at some point you just have to go ahead and, you can always come back and revise it later.
Yes.
Right? That's the beauty, especially, nowadays, pretty much everyone is typing on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Electronic documents are so easy to edit. You can shift paragraphs around. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. You couldn't do that if you're using a typewriter or
Yeah.
you're manually writing stuff. So that'll come down a little bit to how you're writing. But yeah, you want to get your ideas down and actually get writing instead of, getting caught up in the minutiae.
Well, that's why it's called a rough draft.
Yeah, or a first draft.
A first draft.
First draft.
Paul actually does a pre-rough draft, which is your outline, I really say, because sometimes you put prose in it and it can be 30 pages long. That's your way of writing.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself stuck in the weeds and constantly editing, come out of it and just let the words flow and don't read it again until you're done.
Yeah.
That's what we would recommend. Eddie has a question. He said, when you first started, were you already familiar with the principles of story writing, or did you struggle to apply them? And how much do you feel your writing has changed since your first book?
Okay, so
this was his first book, Servant of the Crown.
Yep.
And what is your latest book? I don't think we have it there.
I don't think we
Savior
have.
of the Crown.
Savior of the Crown.
So no, Warrior King is the latest.
Warrior
book.
King is the latest release. That's the latest one in that particular series.
So that's his first book. And that's the last one in the series. He's working on the next one. Will be coming out in 2 weeks.
Series, I guess.
Yeah. Well, right now it's the last one. It's a 15-book series.
Yeah.
And you can get those both at pauljbennetauthor.com, which we've put up there and I'll put up again. But
so as far as the principles of storytelling,
there we go.
My background comes from running role-playing games as a game master for years, literally half a century. I hate to say that, but yes, half a century.
So I have to think back. That means you were role-playing when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, well, I was actually 13 when I first got the copy of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, your dad.
65 now, so
that's more than 15 years.
Yes, well, I mean, I can't say I was plotting out a lot when I was 13, but as the more I ran the game, the better I got at doing it.
When you first got it, did you just play or did you actually start running games right away?
So we played it right away, but we just had these dungeon geomorphs and all it was going room to room and fighting.
And who did you play with?
Some friends
at school.
At school,
and
I don't think Bruce was there at the time. I think this was. Yeah. That was so long ago. I don't recall now. There was 2 or 3 of us that used to. It might have been Bruce actually. I can't recall. Anyway. Later on, I started developing a world. I remember we went to I was into wargaming, with hex maps and
and little figures and
they didn't have figures in those days, just had counters and such.
Oh, okay.
So there was a group of us that hung out to play these war games.
Yeah.
And occasionally role-playing games.
Yeah.
And we would go to Ann Arbor, Michigan. There was a big con there called Michicon.
Now you went to that when you were older, not when you were 13.
Well, when I was 16. That would have been when I was 16.
Did you drive there or drive with someone else?
I didn't drive there the first year I went, but the second year I went, I had my own car.
Yeah.
Which I got when I was 16. Well, almost 17. But so I picked up. They have a dealer's room, and now you got to remember, back in these days in London, there wasn't much you could get gaming wise at a store. There was 2 game stores in London, and they would have like 2 war games, and that was about it. And they were priced beyond my means, which means way back then it was like $20 for a game, but I didn't have $20. I wasn't working at the time.
Yeah.
Right. So we'd go. I saved up all the money I could get.
Yeah.
Went to a convention, and they had these blank hex sheets that you could like fold out to be a pretty big map.
I think you still have.
And I wish I still did have the map because that was my original campaign. I had a kingdom called Jalathar, and this was the main.
I never played in that kingdom.
Yeah, no, this was.
That's how we met. Was through.
And I would take, like we would buy supplements from Judges Guild, like Teagle Manor and various other things, and I would just put them on the map.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the character of Karak, who's one of the orcs in the Frozen Flame, comes from that original campaign that I created. So,
all right. Well, we're going to go back to some questions.
Sure.
Astrid says that, yeah, they write it down first, edit after.
Yep.
When we were talking about editing while writing. Now Chris wants to say they write short stories and put into a big book.
Right. So if you're writing short stories, one of the things, and you're getting writer's block, one thing you can do is
move to another story.
Well, yes, but also if you know which stories you're going to include, sometimes the order that you tell the stories can make it more interesting.
Yeah.
So I have a collection of short stories called
Stories of the Past.
Stories of the Past. I had to think about that for a minute. Stories of the Past. And I just put little, like about a 1-page sort of joining between them, just to kind of link them together.
Yeah, because so what you did is you had, where is it? It's up
the main characters in Heir to the Crown, after book 2, Sword of the Crown, they're getting ready to travel to this other kingdom, Weldon, which they call Westland. Yep. And so I had them gather in one of the cities on the way, and they're sort of gathered around a fire, and they're telling stories. And some of these stories were ideas that I'd already outlined for other books, but didn't end up using, just because they cluttered the story a little bit too much.
So that's what he's talking about, Stories of the Past.
Yeah. So these are called Mercerian Tales. They're side stories. They have numbers on them to give you an idea of when to read them.
There you go.
But you don't have to read them to follow the rest of the series.
No, but they add quite a bit to the whole series. I mean, all your super fans who have read them all say that they quite enjoy them.
Stovetop. Oh, I prepared a whole campaign in D&D and only one person showed up. I feel your pain. Okay.
I remember I recently did an adventure. We had it, and we ran the first night, and then we had like five.
Everybody had fun, but it was a situation where not everyone could make it all the time. Too many people had problems with job timing.
I haven't done it again. I need to get back to that.
And it's funny because the last couple of campaigns I ran all had to be cut short for one reason or another.
I know, some are very sad.
We had a friend pass away, and the campaign was built around his character.
You even built armies.
Yeah, it was going to 3D printer. It was going to finish in this epic battle, and we just never got to it. And then the second campaign, one of the main characters ended up joining the Navy, and so we had to sort of wrap everything up before he went off to training. So I had to cut that one short. We managed to resolve the campaign.
Yeah, but it wasn't that big, satisfying battle.
Yeah, I was all set for that. I was unfortunate. And then even our current one is kind of in limbo right now.
Well, it's interesting. Chris, it's only in limbo because you hurt your back and you couldn't run for a month.
Yes.
And then we've been deep into editing the final edits on Victory of the Crown.
Yeah.
So,
but we also have some players who ended up getting jobs and weren't available. So
we have to get new players. But
we have to get some new players.
Has said that they love history and military books. What one of your book series would he like? And actually, although I think you'd like them all, I think the one you'd like the most, I don't have here, which is...
You mean Temple Knight?
Yeah, Temple Knight, Warrior Knight.
So, this series is called Power Ascending.
You got to get off your duff.
I will. Let me hold that up here so you can see that. So this series is 8 books. There are 4 red ones and 4 blue ones. I guess I shook those differently because I'm looking at the monitor backwards here.
Yeah.
The red ones are all the odd numbered books, and they deal with a woman who is advancing through the ranks of a military fighting order, like a religious fighting order. The blue books, which are all the even numbered books, deal with a man who is going, what's the word I'm looking for? He's basically ascending through the ranks of nobility. He starts off as the son of a noble, so he becomes a knight, and then eventually a baron, and so on.
Yes.
Now, so if you've got a whole campaign planned for D&D and no one ended up playing, that could still form the basis of a book. It's one of the nice things about writing is you're not dependent necessarily on players.
No.
They do kind of have to decide what they're going to do.
Yes.
There are several kind of funny scenes actually in Heir to the Crown that came about because of the role-playing game.
Sorry, I'm just looking at something on the screen here.
Okay.
So Stovetop wants to know, is it better to start by writing short stories or a whole book? There is no better. It's preference. What do you want to
Yeah,
do? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've written lots of short, partial stories over the years that never went anywhere because I wasn't outlining, and for me, that didn't work. The other thing is try writing a short story, and you may find it ends up becoming an entire book, right?
Yeah.
Depending if it just
Well,
appeals to you.
when you wrote the stories of the past, you wrote it and then you ended up adding 2 more stories to it,
I did, yeah.
right?
Yep.
Now the one about Tempest and the one about Anna with her aunt.
Yes, that's right.
They weren't in your original outline.
They were not.
Chris, you can go to pauljbennettauthor.com and you can order his books. And whether you want paperback or ebook, you're okay in the UK. We got you covered.
Yep.
Okay.
So they're available through online retailers, just as they are pretty much anywhere else.
So
they're only printed in English, though, at the moment.
yes.
Oh, and I should pre-warn you.
What?
It's Canadian spelling.
Yes.
So it's not American spelling. It's not British spelling. Canadian
It's
spelling.
a mixture of the 2/3.
Yeah.
Canadian, we take a little bit of UK, a little bit of
U.S.
US, and a little bit of us.
So it's a USK. It's USK.
Usk. Yes, it's Usk English.
Yep.
So we're go back to our theme tonight, which is mistakes that new writers commonly make. And this is one you did not make. I wish you'd done more of, and I'm frequently asking you to do more.
Yep.
Too much world building. So, Paul, what do I mean by too much world building?
So it's the problem isn't doing too much world building, it's writing too much of the world building.
Yeah.
So people get so caught up in the maps, the magic systems, the history, and certainly I have lots of history and so on that exists in the world of Eiddenwerthe, but there's got to be a point at which you're overloading the reader.
Yeah.
You don't want, like, if it's not relevant to the story, don't put it in.
But caveat here, and this is something Paul and I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in the book for you to create that world building, because if, for example, one of the things that Paul didn't have when he first started was religion. He just had gods. And I said, well, you need name for the gods.
Yep.
And at first he was going to use Greek and other Norse gods. And I said, no, you need them specific to your world.
Yeah,
well, Paul's creativity is so amazing. He sat down and he created.
Well, then I went whole hog because now I got like 3 different religions.
Yeah.
So we have the gods, we have the saints, and we have the ancestors.
But my caveat to too much world building is not enough world building. Just because you've built this world doesn't mean you have to detail it in the story, but you as the author need to know it.
Yes, you need to understand it.
Right?
So, for example, little minor spoiler here, later on in all 3 series, there's a big bad evil empire called the Halvarian Empire.
Yeah.
But I just didn't invent them. I wrote up their background. I have notes on how the empire was formed.
Yes.
How the people in charge came to be in charge, all of that stuff. It's not all revealed in the books, but because I knew what was involved, I could write around that.
And as an editor, I can read something and say, you didn't do a character background on that. You don't know what the city looks like. And these are conversations we have because I can immediately pick up on it. And I can pick up on it as a reader too, and it annoys me because I call it a plot point. You just put this in here because you needed to move the character from here to here. I don't want that. I want to be immersed in the story, and that pulls me out of the story and annoys me.
Yeah.
Right?
So for my fantasy series, my cozy fantasy series, I went whole hog into this. And not only did I create backgrounds for the characters, I went into a website called Hero Forge and designed the characters in 3D.
Yes.
I actually print them up on my printer.
I was very happy about that.
Yeah, so it was fun because, you know, Kaldor, who's a dwarf carpenter, until I actually created him, I didn't know what he was going to be like. And then just the act of creating him, it just gave me some inspiration. Same with Belwyn, which is a character that features prominently in the second one.
And another real world example for this, for your writing, was in one of your books, you had all these knights. And without giving a spoiler, there was a reason why you didn't describe them. But the beta readers said, I want to know more about these knights. And you're like, but I don't want to do it. It doesn't make sense to the story. And I said, but it does. You need the reader to get engaged and cheer for these knights, for what you're going to have happen to happen.
And it worked so much better because it gave so much more meaning with the later stuff that happened to them without giving away plot.
Yeah.
It made it much better.
Well, I'm curious if those listening, do you prefer a lot of world building, or do you like a fast moving story that leaves a lot of that up to the imagination? And then Eddie just mentioned that our English pronunciation is excellent. That may be because I have a mother who's hard of hearing. So I hit the beginnings and ends of my words very well. And you may see I over enunciate, but it's because when I speak with my mom, if I talk fast, she can't hear me. So I slow myself down a little bit.
Yep. And I used to talk in front of a classroom all the time. So I'm used to that.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, Christland had a message. Can I message you my book and you can give me your opinion? We do not do that. First of all, we don't have the time to do that.
No.
And second of all, it's got to be your story.
Yes.
And I don't want to be influenced based on what you have. We have done it once in the past. It's a lot of work. Twice actually. Yeah. So we don't really have the time to do that kind of stuff.
That was when you only had a couple books out, and you did one and I did one. And it was funny because we both did one chapter together and the comments we had were totally different. I looked at it from an editing point of view and you looked at it from a story point of view. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going back to talking about mistakes that new writers commonly make.
Yep.
What's another mistake, Paul?
Starting the story too early. So, it's great to say, oh, here's the story. It's going to be about a young kid who grows up to be.
Not about a lovely lady?
Whatever. Like, let's take Star Wars, for example.
You didn't catch that, did you?
Yes, I did. It's a Brady Bunch
reference. Yes.
So take Star Wars, for example. If you started with Luke being a child, that's too early.
Yes.
Right? You want to start at the point at which things begin to happen.
Yeah.
Now, as the author, it's up to you when things begin to happen. And sometimes you go back for a limited amount of time. For example, in Servant of the Crown, there's some flashbacks. We sort of go back in time and we just see some key moments from the main character's life because, of course, they have an effect on what happens later in the story. But you can get bogged down in that, right? You got to be very careful about going too far into the past.
Yeah. So I'm just going to come back in a second. We do have a couple questions.
Yep.
Esther says they prefer a combination, and I think she's talking about world building or fast moving stories. Okay. And that's true. It's difficult. There are some authors who spend pages and pages and pages because they've spent all these months and years getting the world ready that they want to share it with the readers, but sometimes that bogs the story down. So you have to be careful. And it is finding your definite thing. Now, I'm not sure there, Astrid, you said in media res or else. I'm not sure what that means.
In media res, but in the middle of a scene.
Oh, okay. There you go. Nicely.
So that's a very clever way of starting, actually. And in fact, I might have used that in Temple Knight.
Yes.
The original beginning was very different, very Sergio, whatever.
Spaghetti Western.
Spaghetti Western.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah. So you in media res right in the middle of something, right? That is can be a very good.
But it's interesting because sometimes Paul starts descriptive, and if he's had a couple books and it's been descriptive and a little slow, I said you need to start with action this time. The last two books we've eased our way in. You need to just start them like slam them over the head. And he does that.
I'm reminded of one of my books in the Frozen Flame, and off the top of my head, I can't remember which one it is, but it starts with the two main characters, and they're just at a campfire.
Yeah.
And they're chatting with each other. These are two characters that are obviously in love with each other, and they have a relationship already. And he's making fun with her, and he knocks her off the chair, and he's like over top of him, ready to kiss her. And then they look up, and there's like an orc with a spear pointed at.
Yes, yeah. It's like it seems like it's just.
It seems like just this little scene, and then oops.
Yeah. Now we're talking about starting this story too early.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean to you?
I've read, but I'm not going to call out any authors here, but I've read books where you feel like you're reading 5 or 6 chapters before anything happens at all.
Yes.
And if you're building part of the character or establishing what characters like, that's fine. But when nothing happens, it just feels.
Well, that's interesting because when you first wrote this book, your very first book,
yes,
you started slow.
I did, yes.
Yeah. And so you changed it so that the first 5 chapters are quite dramatic.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah, it starts. I mean, this is the only book I have that has a.
Nope, you have 2.
Oh yeah, sorry. This one has a prologue.
It's just not
And the
stay.
prologue, no, it's not going to balance there, I don't think.
I had it
You're too close to the edge is the problem.
There. Okay, I won't hit it. I'm just going to read someone's comment here. We do have our monitor set up so we can see, but this one's a little tiny. Yes, someone says they agreed about being careful, but overloading with world building. This is Fjord. I can't read the rest of it. You agreed that you have to be careful. It makes me appreciate when authors provide additional world building insight by interaction with characters, for instance. And that's what you do. Dialogue is how you disseminate your information.
Yeah.
Which is a very different way of doing it.
I also, in a series, one thing that, and this isn't actually on our list, but if you're writing a series, it's very helpful when you go into the next book in the series, whatever, whether it's 2 or 3 or whatever, to give a brief summary of the important things so far. Because sometimes people read the first book, they don't read the second book for a couple of weeks or even months.
Years. Yeah, depending
on it's like,
not you, but other authors.
What was happening? I don't remember. So you just kind of want to recap what's been happening.
Yeah, Astrid agrees with that. So on to I'm going to ask you a question. How do you decide where a story actually begins? Now, you've done this 39 times. Sometimes it was quick and easy, and other times it was hard. And you took weeks to do that first chapter.
A couple of books I've ended up rewriting the first couple of chapters. It's tricky. If you think of it as a role-playing game, you think of it as the first session of a role-playing game, not where you're creating the character, but where they're first introduced to each other. As a player, generally speaking, for those who have played role-playing games, you want to kind of get into a little bit of action. You want to understand what's going on. You want to establish some ground rules of the world or whatever. So I think that's kind of important. Starting the story too early is certainly something that can happen, but by the same token, you can start the story too late.
Yes, when it's interesting because in A Drop in the Bucket, you did a lot of exposition. So you were telling, not showing. You were telling everything that happened. And I read it the first time and I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then I did my second read through. I said, no, I don't like the beginning. It doesn't
we changed it. It took about three
iterations.
3 different iterations to get it to where we liked it.
So we kept the opening scene and I've put it in the back, and I may actually put it as "and so it begins." So when we do it "and so it begins," that's the first part of the book that draws people into it. And I'm thinking we might do that. I don't know. But our beta readers have said that they really like the new beginning, although some of them said that when they read the alternate beginning, it explained a bit more. But we really want the reader to learn as the character learns.
I think the difference is the extra text adds more if you're familiar with the rest of the books.
Yes.
If you haven't read the rest of the books, you're not familiar with the world, it doesn't matter.
No.
Because you don't need to know that in order for things to get going.
That ding was somebody going to pauljbennetauthor.com and grabbing a book. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You can get this one for free. And again, what format, Paul?
Ebook format?
Yes.
So EPUBs.
I hope you can see that.
This is Ashes, first book in the Frozen Flame.
I'm being lazy.
Series.
I shouldn't be lazy, but I am. Comfortable. All right. Stovetop asks, I'll go show them the books. Do you have any advice for fighting and action scenes? I'll let you talk and then I'll probably contradict you afterwards.
So when you're talking fighting scenes or action scenes, some of it depends on the scale.
Yes.
My books, there's a lot of individual action going on between characters fighting for their lives and so on, but there's also battles. When you get to battles, the key thing is to focus on, depending where the characters are involved. Like if they're down in the middle of fighting, where they're just standing in line with a bunch of other people, you want to concentrate on their individual experience. If they're in a position of command, you want to give a more general sense of where the battle is going, and maybe change scenes to incorporate a couple of people that are in the thick of the fight or something along those lines. My battle scenes can be pretty graphic. It's the one
blood,
blood, guts, and people
decapitations,
limbs lopped off, and so on,
falling instantly dead to the ground.
Yeah.
I don't even know that's possible. That's okay.
Yeah, well, it works in the movies.
Yeah.
And it's fantasy, so you can get away with a few things.
So what I'll say is write your fight scene. Don't worry about using the word sword 22 times or strike 22 times.
Yeah, you can fix that after the fact.
That's what your editor's for. That's what I do for Paul. I know the action he's trying to have happen, and then I make it more epic. I shine it, and it just jumps off the page. That's my job as editor. His job is to give me the raw material to work with, and
get the facts down.
Get the story down, and then you can polish and fluff and everything there. So don't think you have to write that fight scene exactly. And the other thing about fight scenes or battle scenes, Paul's style is to break it down into individual combats, because when you have all these troops moving, you're not engaged, and it can get hard to read that they came from the left flank, they came from the right flank, and cannons to the left of me. It's overwhelming as a reader. But if you're reading, he charged down on his horse into the enemy and they split aside, you follow him through and you see what he's looking at.
And in quite a few books, we put a black and white picture at the beginning of the chapter to show you, just to help sort of clarify
and visualize it. So when I'm editing my first read through, I don't ask Paul for any of his maps, because I want to see, can I understand how he's explaining him? Now, I am direction impaired.
Challenged,
yes. I get lost. I get lost everywhere. I can get lost in a mall. So when you say left and right, I'm good, but west and east and port and starboard, it's very hard for me to visualize this. I'm black and white. I'm not, it just doesn't work very well. So then I have to look at the map so that I can make sure that somebody without the map understands it. Whereas Paul, because he knows it in his brain, there's part might be missing to understand. So I have some questions here.
Sure.
Eddie wants to know, what's easier for your world building? What's easier for you, world building, trauma, dialogues, or what?
What?
I don't know what that question means.
Yeah.
What's easier for you, world building, dialogue, or drama?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Drama.
I don't know that the one is easier than the other. I think it's a combination of all the things. Like I said, I've been running.
Dialogue is easiest for Paul.
Yeah. Well, funny. When I started writing, I thought this was going to be the hardest part of writing.
And now your books are 60 to 75% dialogue.
Yeah, we have a piece of software that tells us all that. It analyzes.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because you see it as a movie. So that's how you show what's happening in the book, is through dialogue.
Yeah, when I'm writing it, I can almost imagine like the camera's changing an angle here.
Yeah. So the writing urn says, personally, they find it harder to find the right place to end a story than start. Any tips with a good ending point, especially in a series?
So
epilogue.
Yeah. So in my case, I plan out the book ahead of time. Before I start writing any of the prose, I've got an outline. I know how the book is going to end.
Yes.
Usually the book ends with the last chapter, and then if it's the last book in the series, there's an epilogue that kind of ties things up. And then if it's not the last book in the series, the epilogue is generally something that kind of leads you into the next book in the series. Not always, but
Yeah.
that's a
But you don't tie everything up either. You like to.
No, I don't, because in real life things don't always get wrapped up. The major plot points are resolved. When I finished The Frozen Flame, a couple of people said, "Well, you didn't resolve everything," and I had to say, "Well, no, I didn't, because
There's
a whole
another
other series
series
coming."
coming. So we have to have something.
Yeah.
Thank you for presenting to us, the readers. King says, "Hi guys, I'd like to get started in your series, but I'm overwhelmed with all the books and different series. So what should I start with?" Alrighty. Have I got an answer for you? Well, I'm going to hold them up and Paul's going to tell you what each one is. So,
Sure. If you're relatively new to fantasy, or you just want to sort of slowly dig into the world of Eiddenwerthe, you want to start with Servant of the Crown. And that's part of the Heir to the Crown series. If you prefer to jump right in with lots of magic and everything, you want to go with Ashes, which is the first book in the Frozen Flame series, which is 8 books in length. If you prefer knights and fighting and all that kind of stuff, you want to start with Temple Knight. And remember, Temple Knight is the second book in the series is Warrior Knight.
oh, you're going to make me work for this.
And the series alternates between characters. So just so you're aware of that. So don't expect the first character in the first book to.
And why did you do that?
So because their stories take place in parallel, and you can see them both advancing, and there is points of connection between them.
Yeah.
And they know each other. And that becomes very important as it builds towards the climax of the series as well. And they're, well, I don't want to give away the plot, but I don't want to say any more without giving away too much.
Servant and Ashes are both free right now on pauljbennettauthor.com. And then for the Temple Knight series and the Warrior Knight series, you can get the prequel for free, and also the prequel of Cyric. So you can start any of Paul's series for free at pauljbennettauthor.com.
Yep.
Yeah. So that answers, it was apparently Astrid had the same question. It's Read with Colin wants to know, would you go on a book tour? Yes, we would.
Sure.
Are we? No.
No, we don't sell enough books to go on an actual book tour like you see on TV.
No.
I'm not Sarah J. Maas or.
I disagree with you. We have sold over 250,000 books, and we've had an additional 500,000 downloads since we started offering entry into the books for free.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think there's going to be enough people in one city to make it worth me traveling a great distance.
Who knows?
Certainly we're within range of, Niagara Falls and Toronto, and Windsor.
That being said, we are looking at doing 6 to 8 local events within a 2-hour drive of London.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit further north.
Maybe St. Catharines. We had someone ask us about, there's a bookstore there that specializes in fantasy books. Yeah. So that could be fun.
It was Whitby, but that's okay.
Was Whitby?
It was Whitby.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But that's in the same oh, no, sorry. That was on the other side of Toronto.
Yes, it is.
That's, never mind. That's a little.
Oh, my God. How did I know? I am not geography. You are geography. How did I know that and you didn't?
Let's go on to the next question.
Okay. So Craig wants to know, how did you find it getting your first novel out into the world? They finished theirs in February. So this was your first novel.
So congratulations on.
Congratulations, Craig. Yes, you did it.
So when we published Servant of the Crown, we only published originally on Kobo.
Yes.
Just because we're Canadian, Kobo's a Canadian platform, and it was a very easy interface and so on to get used to. And, everyone knows Amazon is the big thing, and we wanted to kind of iron out any difficulties that we had before we took that.
You're going to make us make a mistake. Make it when there's not as many people watching.
Yeah. But having said that, we had a great experience, and we still publish on Kobo.
Oh, I love Kobo.
But now, of course, we've expanded. We're on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple Books, Google
Play,
Google Play, or whatever.
Yeah, and lots more.
And lots of other retailers as well. And you can even, if you go to a local bookstore, they probably won't have the book on the shelf, but you can ask them to order it.
And your library can bring it in too. So I don't know whether you know that, but you can go to your local library and ask them to bring in Paul's books. We have them set available for libraries to buy, because ultimately we want people to read his books and to enjoy it.
As to how did we feel, it was great seeing it up there. But I gotta say, it's nerve-wracking when you're waiting to press that button to make it go live.
Oh, yes.
And then and even today, like you make it go live and then you're wondering like, oh, did we forget something? Did we miss an edit?
Let's be honest here.
It's more you than
you don't have those feelings because you're usually at.
I get nervous because you're nervous, right?
Yeah, but not really, because
you're the one.
I don't share my nerves with you.
You're the one pressing the button.
I do, but I don't share that I'm nervous. I just hold it all in. You know, that's the right way to deal with it. Not really, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. But so
someone says they've seen me in their library. I seen my books in his library.
Oh, nice.
I haven't been in the library for quite a long time, but my books.
I like the library. Colin wants to know, when's the next book? 2 weeks today.
Yes.
So in our next live, we'll be doing 2 lives that day, and we may even have the paperback here. We're not sure.
No, our next live isn't the double. It's the one after that. Oh no, sorry, in 2 weeks. You're right. Geez, it's already halfway through March. Holy smokes!
Are you with us, or?
I was thinking it's only like the first week of March. No, it's the second week of March.
Oh, I know what day it is. I do the editing, so.
It's funny when you work at home. You're not used to going out and seeing things, and then you just kind of lose track of time.
I think it's different because when you work in the office, you usually see the date every day. I see the date every day because I look at the numbers and do that sort of thing. But you just sit and write in your own little world.
Yep.
So the next book is in 2 weeks. That is Victory of the Crown. And as I was trying to say, we might even have a paperback for that day. It just depends shipping. I don't know how long it'll take to get to us. And then Flora says, wow, those numbers are impressive for what the books you sold. Yeah, we're pretty happy with them.
Yep.
And then Astrid said they have a few of your books, not all of them. And then Stovetop wants to know, which authors inspired you?
Quite a few. Some more obvious ones. There are Tolkien, of course.
I'm going to go on a screen for a minute.
Writing style wise, I think Bernard Cornwell is probably the biggest influence. But I've also read.
Okay.
I have to look over there because that's where all my books are.
Well, I'm going to show you everything.
Jack White.
I'm gonna dip around.
A lot of historical fiction.
There's our camera. All right, so this is his inspiration. There you go. Yep. All those books there. There's my glass of water.
Notice a lot of those are historical fiction.
And then there's more here. And then, these are the things you can get. Oh, look at that. If you order a book, there's bookmarks. Well, you don't get the book stand, but that's in there. So all these are all Paul's books. Look at all those books. There are so many historical fiction books here. These are all his books that he does. Look at these. He's read every one of these.
Yep.
I would fall asleep.
Well, okay, let's qualify. There's a book there on heraldry. I haven't read it cover to cover. I just reference it occasionally.
There's more books there.
There's lots of books.
Okay, so now I'm going to come back. See Paul there. Get out of the camera. We will take you into the printing room one time, but
at some point in time.
At some point in time.
There we go.
There we go. Let's go back. There.
Yep, that's good.
That's good.
All right, so let's just return to our topic for a few more minutes.
Okay, so we're talking about the mistakes that new authors commonly make.
Yes.
Oh, I think we touched on this.
We did a little bit.
This is my pet peeve.
Characters without clear goals.
So if you don't know what the character wants, how can your readers know what the character wants? Right? That's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't mean a character has to want something specific, but you have to know what their general belief is or whatever's driving the story, right? Like, it could be something simple, like you're just trying to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, but you still have to know their personality.
Yes.
How would this person react? So if you don't know how a person would react, like if you just write down 5 characteristics of a character, that's going to tell you how they react. They're grumpy. they don't like going out. They don't really like people. Like this is that stuff. If you write that down, then you know how that character's going to act. Or they're always happy. They're glad to meet people. You can do more detailed things, but that really, those 5 things can really shape how you write that character and their motivations.
Yeah, I think part of that is you can look, especially your main characters, right? You look at them and you think, okay, why are they, whatever, wherever it is they begin, why are they there?
Yeah.
Like, did they grow up there? Did they come here for a reason? What's their background? For example, Cozy Fantasy, I've got this very diverse group of individuals that have come together. Why are they each in this city? Like, right? They've all got a reason for being there. They've got a reason by like how they meet.
Yeah.
And that's very important for the story.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little more obvious, like, oh, well, he's captain of the guard and the queen's called for the captain of the guard or something.
Yeah.
That's a little different. But if they're going to be a main character, even if they are captain of the guard, then, you as the author should know, how did they become captain of the guard?
Yes.
Are they connected? Or do they have a title? Are they wealthy?
I'm glad to hear you say this. Now just put it into practice,
Yes.
please. It is one of our big things. I notice it when I read and I notice it when I edit. And I will say to him, I will ask him, why is this character here?
Yep.
And he goes, I don't know. I said, yeah, I know that because I'm reading it and it's like, you have no idea why this character.
That's part of why you have an editor.
That's
too,
right.
Because you're just writing stuff. Like, I write very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm usually writing, when I'm writing a fairly large book, I can go anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 words a day.
Yes.
Cozy Fantasy, I tend to get about 2,500 a day because that's one chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to know what the goals are, and it comes across when you don't have those.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to go to our next question. Again, we're trying to get through. We had 10 concepts of what we think
Up on 7.
A common mistake that writers would make. Expecting the first draft to be good. And I think we touched on this earlier, is not just getting the words down, but then crafting it. The crafting part of it is coming later.
Yeah, tell the story. Don't worry if it doesn't sound good, as long as you know where the plot's going and so on. You can always go back. You can rewrite scenes. You can modify stuff. That's one of the great things about writing and so on. Now, we're not. I just noticed a comment here, not real from Craig, who finished their first novel.
Oh, yes.
He's not sure what he's doing. He just finished pre-promotion. Promotion we'll cover on another week.
Yeah.
We don't have time today, but that's something you
have to be careful. If you've just written your first book and you give it free, what do you have? Why are you giving it free? What's the purpose? Are you just trying to get your name out there? When you don't have anything for people to go to next, giving it away for free, the 2 purposes for that would be name recognition.
Yep.
And reviews. So we did that. When you first, I think the first 4 months, we didn't even have 10 reviews, and getting one bad review was devastating and actually hurt sales.
Yeah.
So that would be the purpose of doing that. We do free promotions now for the purpose of getting people into the series. So it's a different reason to do it.
The idea for us is, if you like the first book, you'll go ahead and purchase the second book or the third book and so on.
For the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th,
read
8th. Yeah, read through.
Yeah.
All right. So when you're writing, Paul, how rough is your rough draft?
So my rough draft is actually my outline, and it's actually evolved into an outline because it starts as a paragraph or 2, and then I keep adding to it.
I wouldn't call that your rough draft.
No,
I call that your pre-rough draft, your first draft.
So my first draft. Well, I only really write one draft.
Yeah.
And because I have an outline, I know where things are going and so on. And yeah, it requires editing, obviously. But I already know the pacing. I know how it's going to fit together, and that's the important part to get down in your first draft. I don't know if I would say how rough is my first draft. That's hard to say. It requires thousands of words to be changed. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll write 120,000 words, and 30 to 40 of those get switched. 30 to 40,000 get switched.
Yeah.
And 5 to 10,000 get taken out. That's how rough it is. And that is normal. When you get back your editor, you'll have, if you go through professional editing, there's 4 rounds of editing, and you will have thousands and thousands of changes to make.
Yeah.
I do all that.
Yep.
So, all right. Too many point of view characters. So there's authors that we've read that what that means is when you have so many characters coming on the scene, it's hard for the reader to understand who's who and what their motivation is, what they're doing. A reader needs time to get to know the character and to have a sense of who they are. So, what problems does too many characters present in a story, Paul?
I think what happens is readers, I know as a reader, you kind of root for certain characters. You want to see that character, and you're kind of diluting the character by having too many different points of view.
Yeah.
Right? You're jumping around so much. And in some books, even by well-known authors, it's hard to tell, like, who am I supposed to be following? Is this a good guy, the bad guy? I don't know. It doesn't matter necessarily if they're good or bad, but you jump around, and then suddenly 10 chapters later, the guy comes back and it's like, well, oh, who is this guy again?
Well, then it's interesting because in your last 3 books in the Heir to the Crown series, there is a lot of jumping around, but you've taken 13, 12 books so that you already know that character. You're like, Revy Bloom comes up and everybody knows who it is. And even though he's only in this for maybe 10 pages, they already know him.
The other thing too is throughout the Heir to the Crown series, although there's a large cast of characters, each book tends to focus on only a handful of them.
Yes, until you get to the very end.
Yeah, of course, it's the end, right? So you want to be able to pull that up.
This one I think we disagree on. I think another mistake is stopping reading once they start writing. And I say that because I still read, although for a while editing, I get tired of editing and reading, so I stopped reading. But now, other than when I'm heavy into editing, I read. But you struggle to read now.
Yeah, because I'm writing all day long and I just don't have the energy to read.
Well, maybe you need to read some of these books because it's a comfortable read.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll start rereading some stuff.
Sure. Sharp, you'd love your Sharp.
I could.
Yeah.
Certainly when you're starting out, you want to, I've read lots and lots of books over the years, so I've got a history of books that I've read. If you're younger, you might not have read some older style authors, and you can get some valuable insights from them.
Yeah.
Think of like the movie Dune is huge.
Yes.
Dune the book, massive book. It's very thick, actually. Very good book. And it's
Dune book. I would have said Dune was thin.
No, Dune is big. We don't have it. We have a later version of Dune, like one of the later series books. We
okay.
have the original.
Okay.
Dune. It was so big that people were saying you can't really make a movie out of it. It's too big.
Oh.
So it's big and it's complicated.
It's sad that I read it and don't remember it. I have read thousands of books.
Dune was a pretty thick book.
Yeah.
So reading is, if you want to improve your craft, the more experience you have with different writing styles, you might find a writing style that fits you better.
Yeah. Reading helps you learn things like pacing, structure, dialogue, storytelling techniques, and even what's in a genre. So if you're writing in epic fantasy, what are the readers expecting in epic fantasy? Because you can go strike it out on your own, but that is a bit harder. But if you can throw in some things they're familiar with, they'll be more comfortable.
Well, that's why tropes are so popular, right?
People I just say goodnight to Astrid. They're heading off.
Okay, thank you for joining us,
Astrid. Now, our last thing is people think you write a book and that's it, you're done. But publishing takes so much more, and there's so much more involved.
Well, let's qualify this. It's not publishing, it's promoting.
Yes.
So if you just want to publish a book for the sake of saying I published a book, then you're done.
Yep.
But if you want to sell the book, that's a whole other ballgame.
But that's not even it. You have to understand, it's not just writing that first draft. There's editing, there's revising, there's pulling out paragraphs, putting in new paragraphs. There's changing orders of chapters. But then there's cover design. Like you have to have a cover, and then you have to write the dreaded blurb.
And you the blurb, and the cover too. You want something eye-catching.
Yes.
Now, books nowadays, they're a lot different than they were, say, 20 years ago. 20
Even
years ago,
covers are different.
You would be in a bookstore, and you can still go to a bookstore, and then you want something that's going to catch your eye. But with electronic books, if you don't market the book, people won't even see it.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not like they're walking down a bookshelf and seeing all these books.
No.
They're only getting the top selling books from that platform.
And there's a lot of people, like Paul doesn't like to take the time to look at different books, where I will take an hour going through Amazon looking for different books. And I go, oh, that looks interesting. Or I like this book. What other books does it recommend? I don't mind doing that. He has no interest in doing that. We had a conversation about that.
Now, when I do find a series, I go all in on it.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I've done
so that. Colin wants to know, why did you choose self-publishing over traditional publishing, Paul?
Control. So I'm not trying to be a control freak or anything, but
that's my job.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
A lot of people seem to think self-publishing is a secondary or less prestigious thing. But the fact is, if you self-publish, you make more money, at least when you're unknown.
Yes.
Now it can be quite a lot different if you're popular, if you're Stephen King, for example.
Yeah. Brandon Sanderson. Although Brandon Sanderson did way more self-published than he's.
Yeah, and he's even he himself has gone self-publishing, right?
Yeah, so that says a lot.
Publishing house.
Yeah.
With self-publishing, you decide when it's going to be released. You still have to go through editing and all that kind of stuff, right? But you control the release. You get control over the cover. When you go to a regular publisher, you may not have that choice.
But again, it's all about contracts. So
it is, yeah. It's all about what.
And it's interesting because we are thinking of looking at doing his newest series traditionally published. It's with our
fantasy,
with our editor. It's actually back from the editor, but we're busy with Victory. And we're thinking of going. We found what they call bespoke publisher that we're looking at going with, and we have a friend with them, and they're very happy. So we're thinking of doing that. So
in the beginning, self-publishing, you get a bigger percentage of the profit, basically.
So I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us and listening to us talk about some of the common mistakes new writers make. I'd love you to send us an email or go onto our social media and let us maybe know some of the mistakes you've run into. That'd be great. We want to keep the conversation going afterwards. And Paul, what are we going to be doing next week?
Next week, we'll be talking about some of the hardest things about publishing. And also some of our fantasy books that we read over the years.
Yeah, we gave you a quick view, but we're going to pile them up here, some of the favorite ones that we've liked, and then we can love to hear some of the favorite ones that you've liked. So we want to, again, thank you and remind you that if there are any of these books that you want to read, that can get Servant of the Crown or Ashes in ebook format, free on pauljbennetauthor.com, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, so thank you for joining us.
We